Ukraine and Russia have carried out their biggest prisoner swap since the war began in February. 144 Ukrainian soldiers were freed, including 95 from the Azov regiment that defended Mariupol's steel factory. The head of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic, which is backed by Russia, said it had secured the release of the same number, including soldiers from the Russian army. All right, well, let's bring in DW correspondent Emmanuel Shaz, who is in the Ukrainian port city of Odessa. Emmanuel, good to see you. Can you tell us more about this prisoner swap?
Yes, Pablo, indeed, this is the biggest prisoner swap since the beginning of the war on February 24th. This is not the first time. We've seen every now and then a dozen prisoners exchange, those numbers, those figures, but never 144. According to our information, this is an equal number on both sides. So 144 Ukrainian personnel, not only soldiers, but also police officers, borders officers, and on the Russian side as well, Russian soldiers and pro-separatist soldiers from eastern Ukraine, also in the number of 144. On the Ukrainian side, it is significant because 95 of those prisoners which have been returned to Ukraine fought in Mariupol steel plant, and among them 43 were fighters from the Azov battalion. It's a regiment, it was a regiment there used to be a paramilitary regiment which joined the Ukrainian armed forces a few years ago. It has the status here of a heroic regiment, but the Russian army said that it is neo-Nazi soldiers, and because of that they say they wanted to try those soldiers. So it's big news here in Ukraine that those soldiers are coming back. Unfortunately, most of them are severely injured after the fighting. They have bullet wounds, burns, also fractures, so they are in quite a dire state now.
Emmanuel, you talked with the friends and family of one prisoner from Morocco who's being held by the Russians for fighting with the Ukrainians in Mariupol. Can you give us some more details about his case?
Yes, the case of Brahim Sadoun, along with that of two Britons with whom he had surrendered in April from Mariupol, is quite interesting because they are the first three foreign fighters to be tried by a court led by pro-separatists, so a court that is not internationally recognized. Perhaps let's have a look at his story.
Brahim Sadoun left for the front lines with his childhood teddy bear strapped to his military kit. He came to Ukraine from Morocco to study aerospatial sciences, but last November swapped his student visa for a military one and joined the army, much to the surprise of his friends.
I was against that, and one of the main arguments he gave me was the fact that he's kind of feeling useless, so he wants to do something useful and find himself.
But Brahim didn't serve long. He fought in Mariupol and surrendered to Russian forces along with over 1,000 fellow servicemen mid-April.
But the separatist authorities didn't treat him like a Ukrainian prisoner of war.
They argued he was a foreign mercenary and put him on trial, along with two Britons. They are the first foreign fighters to be tried since the beginning of the war. At the beginning of June, all three were sentenced to death. Ukrainian authorities and NGOs both reject this verdict, as the separatist court in Donbass is not recognized by Kiev or by the international community.
It's propaganda's show, and in this case, first of all, the issue on the institution, so-called court, that provided this verdict. The death sentence is not applicable and available on Ukrainian territory. We are on Ukrainian territory, so we consider it like the action of terrorist organization, and it's pure terrorist act that should be condemned and severely punished on international and national level. We are dealing with the big terrorist group supported by terrorist state.
For Brahim's family, the trial and death sentence came as a shock, and they say they haven't received any help from the Moroccan authorities so far.
The moment when I seen the video of his captivity, I tried to contact the Moroccan embassy and where I am right now, and they literally were like, what do you expect us to do? I tried to reach many other authorities, and sadly everything was silent. I feel like they're just like scared to talk about it, maybe. Like literally just trying to keep it down, like he doesn't exist at all.
Just like his family, Brahim's friends feel very alone in trying to help him out of this situation. They have launched a social media campaign and canvassed all around the city.
We saw that these are very effective when we put a QR code on them, because people started texting us on the social media campaign that we started, Save Brahim. They're like, we saw those posters around the city and what can we do to help?
Brahim's friend and family put what hope they have in the support they get from the public. While the separatists remain in charge in Donbass, that's about the only thing they can do.
And the European Court of Human Rights actually seized the case and said it took step towards Russia to ensure that the death sentence wouldn't be carried out for Brahim Saadun and the two Britons who were sentenced to death along with him.
Well, Emmanuel, Russian missiles continue to rain down on Ukraine, but does Moscow's main focus remain in the Donbass region?
It definitely does. Fighting is very intense in Donbass, especially around the city of Lysychansk. The Russian troops are trying to take possession of the highway leading to the nearby city of Bakhmut. But indeed, there's indiscriminate shelling all over Ukraine. Even last night here in Odessa, there were 2 alerts, and Ukrainian defense forces reported 6 missiles that fell on the region, one being intercepted just here above the city of Odessa.